Practice problems involving linear equations with one unknown. So let's first consider 3x plus 2 equals 10. So pause the video and work this out and then view my solution. This is like the easier example that we worked in our lesson. There are a couple of things that we can do. Actually, there are an infinite number of things that we can do. It would make sense to subtract 2 from both sides first, and that would leave us with 3x equals 8. And then I think it's fairly clear that we should divide both sides by 3, and that would leave us with x is equal to 8/3, or we want to say 2 2/3. That would be equally as good for a final answer. You may have done an alternate solution, which would be to have divided both sides by 3. This one isn't quite as fast. There creates fractions to work with before the final answer. So we would end up with x plus 2/3 equals 10/3. Still not too difficult to work with. We could subtract 2/3 from both sides and get that x is equal to 8/3 like we had before, but you can see there's a lot more ink on the page in order to get to the solution that way. Let's consider a second problem. This second problem has x on both sides, so let's start with 3x plus 2 on the left as we did before, but let's set it equal to 7x minus 10. So this time we have to solve for x, but it shows up in 2 places. So go ahead and try to solve this. When I would work out the solution, I have all kinds of things that I can do. There are an infinite number of things that I could do. Let's consider some possibilities though that might be useful. We could subtract 3x from both sides. We could subtract 7x from both sides. We could subtract 2 from both sides. We could add 10 to both sides in a first step. There are also possibilities like divide the entire thing by 3. Since we have 3x on the left, we could divide the entire problem by 7 since we have 7x on the right. But I think it's easier to start with the addition and subtraction in this case. And so what I am going to do, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Now, why did I give preference to subtracting 3x over subtracting 7x? It's just that I would prefer to have a positive value. So if I were to subtract 7x from both sides, on the left-hand side I would end up with negative 4x. Whereas by subtracting 3x from both sides, I will keep everything positive. When you introduce negative signs, it lends itself to opportunities to create errors. So it's simpler to do it this way. And now this becomes a relatively straightforward problem. I think that you would want to next go to adding 10, although you are allowed to do other things. If we add 10 to both sides, we get 12 equals 4x, and now there's only one reasonable thing to do in the final step. Whoops, not divide by 2. There's only one reasonable thing left to do, which is to divide by 4, and that would give us a final result that 3 is equal to x. Since this was a little bit more complicated, let's just make sure this is correct. So we can check that by substituting in for x, but remember there are 2 places where x appears in this equation. So we have 3 times 3 plus 2 on the left must equal 7 times 3 minus 10 on the right. When you look at the left side, that would give us 9 plus 2, which is 11. On the right-hand side, we would have 21 minus, make that clearly a minus sign, 21 minus 10 is 11. And so the left-hand side clearly equals the right-hand side. So 3 is a correct solution, and it will turn out to be the only correct solution for this problem.